Phyllis drives for an airport shuttle service. The number of riders per trip for the last 10 trips are listed. We're going to use a calculator to draw a histogram for this data and then figure out how much Phyllis earned in tips, given that there's a $5 tip for 2 or fewer riders, a $10 tip for 3 to 4 riders, and a $15 tip for 5 or more riders. So to do that, we're going to start by going into our stat and our edit to enter in our data. So here we start with 4, 1, 3, 2, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we've done that, we're going to go look at our histogram by pressing second and stat plot. We're going into plot 1, so we press enter, and we're going to turn this on by hovering over on and pressing enter, and then we'll go down over to our histogram and select that. Now we see that our X list is L1 and our frequency is 1, which is great because that's where we put our data was in list 1, and we put each of our data values in once. And now we'll go into our window, and we want to pick a window that makes sense for this data. Our smallest value is 1, our largest value is 5, so we want to pick values that go around that. So we're going to start with 0 because 0 is just a little bit less than the minimum number of people that were on a trip. And we want to make sure that we're including that as a possibility because it's possible to have 0 riders on the trip as well. And then for our X max, we want to make sure that we're including 5. So we're going to round up by 1 to get to 6. This makes sure that we are covering everything for our histogram. And our X scale is going to be 1 because we're counting by individual, and these are whole human beings. So now that we have that set up, we're going to be able to go actually look at our graph, and we get this histogram here. So we can press trace and actually look at the values here. So first of all, you see this first one is min 0, max is less than 1. That means there are 0 to less than 1 riders, which really just means 0, right? And in this case, there are 0 trips where there were 0 riders. Now, if we arrow over, we can see that there's 2 trips with 1 rider. And again, less than 2 is really just 1. And then 3 trips with 2 riders, 2 trips with 3 riders, 2 trips with 4 riders, and 1 trip with 5 riders. Now looking back at our problem, we see that there is a $5 tip for 2 or fewer riders. So let's scroll over here and we see 2 riders, there were 3 trips, 1 rider, there were 2 trips. So that's a total of 5 trips that had 2 or fewer riders. Now, the next one is a $10 tip for 3 to 4 riders. So 3 riders is going to be 2 trips. 4 riders is also 2 trips. So that's a total of 4 trips that fall into this category. Our final tip amount is if there are 5 or more riders, which in this case is just 5 as an option, and there's 1 trip that falls into that category. So now we can do this calculation. We have $5 for 5 trips, $10 for 4 trips, and $15 for 1 trip. When we multiply this out, we end up with 25 plus 40 plus 15, and adding all that up tells us that Phyllis earned $80 in tips.